Hey everyone, this is Chris and Tony's Blood and Donuts.
Where we talk about and review your favorite horror movies.
So grab a dozen.
And a pint of blood.
And let's talk about the 2019 sci-fi horror film, Us.
Hey everybody, welcome to Blood and Donuts. This podcast on YouTube or on Apple Podcast or Spotify, wherever you're listening. For those of you just listening, I'm wearing Willy Wonka, and we have Grandma. We have the werewolf who just ate Grandma over here, and we're going to a Halloween party right after this. But we're going to get a little bit more comfortable before we start this. Tell us, what movie are we reviewing?
Hey everybody, we're reviewing the 2019 sci-fi horror film, Us.
Directed by Jordan Peele.
Jordan Peele. This is like his second movie,
Yeah,
right?
The first movie was Get Out, which was wonderful.
Yeah.
This is his sophomore movie.
He does so good for a great comedian. He really knows how to nail the horror genre.
Jordan Peele is an American treasure. We love him.
He really is.
We love it. We love Key and Peele
Yeah.
before he was a director, and now we love him as a director. I think he did phenomenal
He
with this
does good in the horror genre for sure.
Yeah, this movie is, it reminds me of like Twilight Zone or something.
Yeah.
And it's a very original idea. I loved it. I do have some gripes about it, but I'm not going to say that just yet. But I do think everything, you could tell it was very well thought out.
Yeah. Oh yeah. A lot of brain went into this. It was really good.
Yeah. Cinematography was really good. Especially the first 30 minutes of this film, I believe. It was just beautiful and wonderful and creepy, and he set it up so well, and he did such a good job, and the actors did such a great job too.
Oh yeah.
Especially Lupita Nyong'o.
No, I like the daughter better, who played Zora Wilson.
Yeah.
Shahadi Wright Joseph.
Yes.
She was my favorite.
Yeah, she did a great job.
Yeah.
All the actors did a great job. Even the husband, he like provided some slapstick, some
He was
softness.
the comic relief, and they all did great.
He did a great job. And like we just said, this is Jordan Peele's sophomore release.
Mm-hmm.
Now, I do have some numbers here, a couple little facts here.
Spit them out.
So Get Out, his first film, the budget was $4.5 million. The box office, $255 million.
Okay.
This film, typically the sophomore slump is a real thing, but with this one, $20 million, and then it made $256 million.
That's real.
And again, this is just stuff I got online. I don't know how true those numbers are, but that's impressive.
Well, you believe everything you see online, so yeah, I'm sure that's right.
Yeah, so he made just as much. He had a little bit bigger budget, and you could tell with this film, and he made just as much. There was no sophomore slump here. With Get Out, it was kind of like a thriller, and this was like a full-on horror film.
Right. Yeah. No, it was very creepy. A few jump scares in there. It was really good.
Yeah. And like we said, Lupita Nyong'o, great. Winston Duke, Elizabeth Moss, Tim Heidecker. Do you remember him?
Yeah, he was the other comic relief.
Is it Tim and Eric show, or what is that called? I forgot. I don't know. It's just a hilarious show. He's just funny. This follows a family who are confronted by a group of doppelgangers. Peele had said that the inspiration for Us was from a Twilight Zone episode called Mirror Image.
Okay.
That episode was centered around a young woman and her evil doppelganger. On review, Rotten Tomatoes, this film holds a 95% based on 220 reviews with an average rating of 8.4 out of 10. On Metacritic, the film has weighted an average score of 81 out of 100 based on 52 critics, indicating that this film gets universal acclaim.
What's going on IMDb? It's like 6.8 out of 10.
Yeah.
That's lame.
I don't know. Yeah,
what are we doing?
It seems a little lame. Now, so like I said, I think this is a great. It's very well thought out. And if you go on YouTube, if you go and delve deeper into some of the hidden meanings on this stuff, and which we'll do that during the spoiler portion. What we're going to do is we're just going to talk about it a little bit here in the beginning, and then we're going to move into a spoiler portion. We're going to break it down scene by scene, using the synopsis
Yeah.
of this and kind of talk about it a little bit. But yeah, I mean, like this film it's deep.
Yeah, yeah, it really is. And we're going to give our ranking first before we get into spoilers.
Absolutely.
So stay tuned for that. We're going to kind of give a few fun facts about it.
Absolutely.
Give our ranking, and then we'll go into like a scene by scene breakdown and kind of what we thought of the plot.
Absolutely. So the runtime, what was it? 2 hours on this? Roughly?
Yeah.
2 hours
Yeah.
and 14 minutes, I believe, or something like that.
Yeah.
Anyway, how'd you feel about that?
I thought it was okay. I mean, you kind of had to. It's like you said, it's deep, so it does have to kind of build the world, build the atmosphere.
Yeah.
Before it kind of breaks everything apart and
Absolutely.
explains it.
So like I think he could have messed up with this movie and went 3 hours with it because there's so much left unanswered.
Yeah.
Right. Because you do leave the theater, you leave the movie, watching the movie, and you're just like, you have a lot of questions.
Yeah, I did too, and you're wondering what happened. The end, like, is everything okay?
Yes, yes.
We just supposed to coexist?
Yeah, and then you have so many questions like, how did they do it? How were they fed? And how was it? Not to. How
rabbits.
did they? Yeah,
it's rabbits.
It's a lot of rabbits. There's rabbits everywhere. Yeah, and again, so it set it up very well. I think the movie starts out. It's beautiful. It sets it up very well. There's a lot of imagery in the beginning. It starts with this commercial, which kind of hinges, and you see the commercial there at the end.
Hands Across America.
Yeah, I love that. So it really ties the room together. Really ties this movie together. And the only gripe I have, which is not a real gripe,
Okay.
is in the middle. There's a chase scene.
In the boat?
There's a chase that ensues like throughout. After you meet the bad guys
Sure.
and all that stuff, and we'll go into that a little bit more. In the middle, the meat and potatoes of it, I kind of like it was dragging on for me.
Okay.
I feel like there was a little bit of fat that could have been cut out of this, but I got a gripe about something.
You have to find something to complain about.
Absolutely.
But the majority of it though, I think is pretty good. Right?
Yeah, absolutely.
It keeps you watching. Like you don't get bored watching this. You don't like, oh man, this is kind of lame. I'm going to turn it off or come back to it later. You're kind of glued to it as it's going on.
I was interested the entire way. The soundtrack was amazing. There was some funny parts too, which we'll get into when they used NWA. In one scene. So the soundtrack was the song that rings out. You've probably heard it on the trailer. I've got 5 on it. And then they kind of do some creepy work with that. It was just so good. Instead of using like electronic stuff that you might hear on like Stranger Things, which is like kind of gotten popular, they're using string instruments.
Right.
Very staccato.
They're taking the beat from the 5 on it, and then they kind of stretch it out and make it creepy.
And they have kids singing staccato. So, like the choir, and there's nothing creepier than that.
Yeah.
We learned that from what was the one where she gets sucked into the television, the little girl from the 1980s?
Poltergeist?
Uh-huh. They have one of the creepiest songs ever. It's just little kids going, la, li, la.
Right.
You know what I'm talking about?
Yeah, I know what you're talking
It was so creepy. Chris and I used to have horror soundtracks back in the day. You have to have CDs, and we would play it, and we would try to say what was the creepiest horror movie music of the time.
Right.
We loved obviously
Exorcist,
Halloween, but Poltergeist was at the end, like
there.
And I think at the end of the Poltergeist, go back and listen to it. But I think there's like some bells ringing and kids laughing, and we used to play it all the time. Oh, it was hilarious. All right, so. Before we get into spoilers on this, what are you going to give as a rating?
Okay, so
tell them about our rating system.
Yeah, so the rating system, we're doing 13 donuts. That's a baker's dozen.
Yes.
And we give it 1 through 13.
Absolutely.
13 being a masterpiece.
Yes. I would say 10 through 13 being a masterpiece.
Yeah.
Like you need to put this in your catalog. You need to watch it. If you're a horror fan, you need to be watching that.
Absolutely. And, so...
1 through 5 being trash.
Trash.
Yeah, this is a B horror movie.
Right. So let me go through my pros and cons here. So pros, actresses were great. All of them were great. I didn't have a single bad actor, actress in this movie. They really mixed in some comic relief, which I thought was great.
Needed.
Yeah.
Almost.
Right. Yeah. Because as you're dragging, you're at least chuckling. Like you said, the middle was dragging.
Yeah.
In the middle, they're throwing in some very good humor, really funny.
Absolutely.
So like that. The cons, the heaviest coffee table in the world. We're gonna get to that. We'll get to that, and the spoilers and the final boss fight. They could have.
It could have been better.
Yeah,
It's a little too easy.
The bad guy could have easily killed the our hero.
But then again, I can't say it right now. But then again, who's the bad guy? That's the question.
That is the question. All right, so my ranking, I'm gonna give this a 10 out of 13.
Yeah, so I was gonna give it a 9.
You always go one up or down from me, Tony.
Do I just need to agree with you. I just need to agree with you on
just
something.
agree with everything I said. I've been trying to tell you that for 20 years.
Yeah, I mean it's
So me a 10 out of 13, you a 9. Okay,
me a 9. Now,
give me your pros and cons. What you
okay, so I like you said, I love the soundtrack. The cinematography is beautiful.
Perfect.
I think the first 30 minutes of this movie is incredible. Okay, did I say the actresses?
Nope, you didn't.
Okay, Lupita Nyong'o, like she just gives out a stellar performance. I don't think again stellar, and all these actresses and actors have to play 2 different parts.
Yeah.
That might be a spoiler in itself, but they have to play 2 different parts each of them. And again, I think everybody did a great job with this. Jordan Peele did a wonderful job. I feel like he understands horror.
Yeah, he does.
I feel like he did this very well. And I hope he makes more. I'm excited about it. Now, my cons is the middle. I started to the middle. It became a big chase. It became a big chase, and I started I wish I was entertained more by this. I'm not saying that it didn't need to happen or anything, but I just wish I was a little bit more entertained there in the middle. I felt like I was a little, I don't know, just like kind of like looking off, and it just dragged on a little bit for me.
Yeah.
Okay, and that doesn't mean don't go watch it. It's it's a great movie. It's a wonderful movie, and I gave it I think a 9 out of 13 is awesome.
It's great.
And I've watched it twice. Because I wanted to again. I went back to see all the hidden meanings.
Because you're going to find more stuff.
You're going to find
on
more,
the replay
every single time. So, and that's a big thing for it.
Very cool.
I don't know if it's going to be iconic. I don't know if it's going to be The Thing. I just don't know if it's going to be The Exorcist or the Halloween or any of those things. It's a great movie. That's why I gave it a 9.
Okay.
I
got you.
Yeah. Okay. And I like a little bit more blood in my horror movies. I like a little bit more.
Sure. A little more gore.
I feel like this is a little bit more mainstream.
I
think
can see that.
I think my wife would watch this. I think your teenage daughter, with your guidance, could watch this.
Yeah. Yeah. Mine, the one that I have. Yeah.
Your imaginary teenager. All right.
So from here on out, we're going to be talking about the synopsis. We're going to go over all the scenes.
Yes.
And kind of just break them down and talk about what we like, what we didn't like a little more.
Absolutely.
And then this is part where we'll be spoiling it a lot. So if you haven't seen it yet, go and check it out.
Yes.
For sure. We saw this on Peacock. This is on Peacock, which you can subscribe to. Everybody knows about Peacock and all your streaming services. So go check it out on Peacock if you haven't seen it yet, and come back and listen to our review.
Yes. Pause the podcast and then come back, because this is a good movie. And the spoilers really do matter in this one. Mm-hmm. You know what I mean? Especially at the very end.
Yeah.
That might be a spoiler in itself. I don't know. Just saying. Yeah.
Right.
Here we go. It's Santa Cruz, California, 1986. A young Adelaide, played by Madison Curry, goes to the beach on a trip with her parents, Rain and Russell. After Russell wins Adelaide a Michael Jackson Thriller t-shirt at a carnival game and plays whack-a-mole, Adelaide wanders off and encounters a homeless man with a Jeremiah 11:11 place card, and then eventually comes face to face with an exact doppelganger. This incident scares her, and then sometime later, Adelaide is refusing to talk as her parents worry about her. The therapist tells her to make Adelaide tell a story through the form of anything: reading, writing, or dance.
Right.
So I feel like that kind of left a lot of stuff out. There was a lot more than that.
Yeah, a lot of questions too. You're wondering like, well, what, because she's looking in the mirror. She kind of goes through this kind of fun house of mirrors.
Yes.
In the bottom, and then she kind of almost goes into some tunnels, right?
Yes. And so in the True movie, it opens up and it says something like this: in America, there are as many abandoned tunnels.
Oh yeah, there's the text on the screen.
Yeah, there's text on the screen. There's like that. They're all over America, and we don't know what they're using.
Abandoned tunnels, abandoned service subways. Things like that. Yeah.
So you got to. So when I see something like that, I try to put it in my bank for later. Sometimes I forget it, but I try to put it in my bank for later. So I did that. And then it shows obviously a 1980s television. You got the old wall. It's obviously, and then you see the Hands Across America commercial. And so obviously this is Adelaide, and this is should we spoil during the spoilers? How does that work? I don't know how to tell the story.
We've already warned for spoilers.
I've already warned you. So anyway, Adelaide at some point during this mirror change gets stolen by her doppelganger. So what you're seeing in that commercial, you're seeing the last memory that Adelaide has of being up above ground, right?
Yeah.
So you're seeing this commercial. It obviously had an impact on her. If you remember back to when you were a little kid, certain things had a good memory, for you. You remember some things you can't remember.
Right.
She just remembered this Hands Across America, which it was a commercial meant to help the needy.
Yeah.
And I don't know. It didn't do that well in America. It's like I think they had a goal of $50 million and it ended up making about $14 million. So it was a huge failure. But she didn't know that because she was underground. So it just stuck in her mind. And later on, hers is not a huge failure. Right. She does a Hands Across America thing, but hers is a huge success.
Right.
So
she won.
She won, but not really, because she kind of lost.
Right. Did she?
Spoiler alert.
We'll get there.
So again, the homeless guy puts 11:11 up there, and again, me being a Christian, I anytime there is Christian biblical text in a horror movie, it scares the crap out of me because I believe it makes it more real for me. Jeremiah 11:11 says, "Therefore saith the Lord, behold, I will bring evil upon them, which they shall not be able to escape, and though they shall cry unto me, I will not hearken unto them," which scares the crap out of me. Oh my goodness.
So was that homeless guy? Was he a doppelganger? Or
I don't think. No, I think he was
just a homeless guy.
So Jordan Peele did a really good job. I think that 11:11. It was kind of like obviously it was reviewing. It was kind of going back to this. But if you remember before it was on the time clock there. It's at 11:11. The scissors kind of make an 11. He kind of used that imagery throughout the movie.
Gotcha.
But basically, that verse is talking to the Israelite people who were worshiping false idols. They were worshiping things and not God. And he was very angry with them for that. Gotcha. And it's and so Jordan Peele, he doesn't just make a horror movie. He's speaking about how here in America we do have some underprivileged people, and we kind of worship our good things and stuff and cars and all this good stuff, and maybe we do cast those underprivileged people aside, and that's the doppelgangers.
Gotcha.
That's what it's kind of speaking, that these are these people living beneath them. We don't care, but again, she doesn't know about them. So.
We said it was deep.
It's a very deep movie, and again, us can be a representative of United States. So yeah.
Stop.
I know, it's crazy. In the present day, did you want to say anything else about that? We do have the Thriller T-shirt. Again, Thriller was amazing. Every Halloween I watch the Thriller video with my.
I'm pretty sure I heard it like 5 times today while we're getting ready for this party.
Yeah. So just like
it's on in the background.
Michael Jackson, who is a black man, just really put his stamp on Halloween with Thriller. You know what I mean? He it's just one of the greatest videos of all time, and Thriller, the best-selling album of all time. And just I just kind of harken, to me, it's like a parallel with Jordan Peele, who's, color, the race doesn't matter.
Right.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And so I just love that he put his stamp on horror, kind of like Michael Jackson did back in the 80s with that video.
For sure.
And in the present day, an adult Adelaide goes on a beach trip with her husband, Gabe, played by Winston Duke, and Lupita Nyong'o is Adelaide Wilson. And their 2 children, 12-year-old Zora and 10-year-old Jason, played by Evan Alex, and I don't want to say it. Shahidi Wright Joseph. Did I say that right?
Yeah, she was great.
While the family has lunch at their beach house, we find out several things. One is that the beach trip was to help the children cope with the death of their grandmother, and the other is that Adelaide appears to still be terrified of the idea of going to the beach because of what happened before and refuses to go. After some persuasion, however, she reluctantly agrees to join her family to go to the beach. On the way, the family sees a man being brought into an ambulance. It is the same homeless man that Adelaide encountered many years ago with the Jeremiah 11:11 place card.
Still homeless, huh?
Still homeless.
Still there. All right. So a cool cinematography part where they're walking on the beach.
Yes.
It shows an overhead shot of them.
Okay.
And their shadows are cast in such a way
I know exactly what you're talking about.
where they look like it looks like someone's walking side by side with them. So good.
I just got chills when you said that.
Right. There's an overhead shot of the family walking on the beach, and their shadows are just right beside them.
That's nuts.
It was really good. I watched it. I watched part of it again last night. And I was like, I got to write that down. That was great.
Yeah, that's awesome. I know exactly what you're talking about. It's almost like it's exact overhead shots on the beach, and casting the shadow. It's beautiful. Yeah. Something's creepy about, especially in the beginning. We didn't talk about at the carnival or whatever.
Yeah,
that's a creepy scene.
Yeah,
the ocean. You can't see it, but you can hear it.
Yeah,
in the back. The ocean's creepy,
right?
know?
Yeah, when you're there at night.
Yeah,
with nobody else. Yeah,
it's just a cool scene for a movie. And this, I don't know. Adelaide seems very uncomfortable, and we know why.
Yeah, she's kind of looking around.
We know why now, but when I was watching it, I was like, "What did she encounter in that place?"
Right.
You know, were you tipped off that this might have been a doppelganger?
No, not in the slightest. I thought it was just because it showed her as a young person and it showed her as an adult. Mm-hmm. And I was thinking, okay, well, she's just going to revisit the beach that, because the husband was gung ho. He was ready to go back to the beach. And then she was kind of just keeping it secret why she didn't want to go to that particular beach.
Yeah, exactly.
It was the one that messed her up.
At the bare minimum, I would go really far down the beach. Away from that.
Get away from the fun house.
Get away from that damn fun house. Why are we still here? Like where are we literally we cast but again, they were friends, so they're with friends.
Right.
But they cast their chairs and everything and their towels like right in front of the fun house. You're like, this can't be a good idea. But then again, when you see the ending, you go back to what she was probably thinking. She doesn't want to get discovered. You know, she's the evil girl.
Right.
Not the evil. Just
it's deep, man.
It is deep. But I heard a lot. I've been listening to a lot of commentary on it, and just a lot of people who watched it, they said they caught it right in the beginning.
Wow. Okay.
I was like, so I'm an idiot, I guess, because I was fooled.
We're not as horror savant.
I was fooled. Yeah, they were like, yeah. So I thought,
totally saw it coming.
And then when
I
saw the ending, it just kind of. I was like,
I was bored by the ending.
They really knew. I was like, what happened to her in that fun house, man?
I like to suspend the disbelief. I kind of, when I'm watching a scary movie, I just kind of believe everything I see offhand so that I can be surprised later.
Yeah. And I want in the fun house, it was like, find yourself.
Oh, yeah.
That's cool.
Yeah.
Man. And so I didn't know if it was a ghost or what. I had no idea.
Yeah.
At the beach, the Wilson family meets their friend, the Tylers, compromising of Kitty Elizabeth Moss and Josh Tim Heidecker and their twin teenage daughters Gwen and Maggie, played by Callie and Noelle Sheldon. So they used twins there.
I was wondering,
yeah. So that's kind of cool. Using twins, doppelganger. Y'all see that. While the kids are all at the beach, Kitty and Adelaide talk about Adelaide's soft-spoken nature and her past as a young ballet dancer. Jason soon wanders off on his own and finds a man with his arms stretched out and dripping with blood. Adelaide notices her son missing and panicking. Eventually, she finds Jason and decides that it's time for the family to go back to the house. So the Tylers, the couple that they're vacationing with, they're hilarious.
Yeah. Yeah, they're the part of the comic relief, I think, in the middle that you're talking about. Yeah.
Elizabeth Moss plays the best, wine, let's drink wine,
Barbie,
like basic
beach Barbie,
basic B word, she's perfect. And then Tim Heidecker he's Tim.
Yeah, he looks like he's like a rich jerk in this one.
Yeah, he's hilarious. And then what was it? What was on the beach standing there, looking like a scarecrow with the bleeding? What was that?
I didn't catch that. I don't remember.
You don't remember? Like the boy walked towards him. he looked like a scarecrow or something. He was
Okay.
on the beach, but I couldn't. I don't know. We weren't there yet for the doppelganger, so I didn't understand. Maybe it was something else.
No, didn't catch anything for me.
Okay. Later that night, after the family settles down, Adelaide tells Gabe all about her childhood trauma and worries that the recent events means that her doppelganger is coming to get her. Again, when you're watching that, you're not thinking that the doppelganger is coming to get you.
Right.
You're watching it like, what is going on? What happened to her in this house? Why is she so worried on this trip?
Right. Because it just keeps kind of panning to her, and she just looks like she's thinking about something.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. She just looks like she's in thought. Mm-hmm. Gabe tells her not to worry, and almost instantly, the power goes off. This is, to me, this is the best scene in the movie.
Oh, okay.
When the kid comes out and says, "There's a family standing in our driveway."
Yeah, like who's this family standing?
Like to me, I was like, "Oh, what?" You know what I mean?
Right.
And
did the trailer spoil it for you, or
no?
A little bit.
I didn't remember.
You didn't watch the trailer? Okay. Because
So-
the trailer they show that, and it's like,
Why do they do that? I am so happy I did not watch
no,
the trailer.
it kind of spoiled it a little bit for me there when I saw the trailer, because they kind of played that whole scene where it's like, who's in our driveway, and then they go, "It's us."
Well, I'm glad I didn't watch the trailer there, because I was sitting there like this, like I was watching it by myself, but I wanted to say, "Lauren, come here."
Come here.
I just love it. I love like a good home invasion's real.
Yeah.
You know, and again, I didn't
Very
know
scary.
it was doppelgangers and all this stuff. It's like there's a family in our driveway, and then there's this point that the dad has to go and act like a man.
Right. And because when you think of home invasion, you don't really think of family. You don't think of a family of people. Like you see two adults and two younger people. Like you're not really threatened by that.
No.
You know, if someone comes up to your house,
You're thinking, dude.
Yeah, what are you guys doing here? Yeah, if you see a family at the end of your driveway, a silhouette, you know, two adults, two kids, you're not threatened. Not at all.
But it was scared. The power went out.
Yeah.
They're standing at the end of the driveway.
He made it look so
He goes
creepy.
up there. He's like, "Let me go." He's like, "It's not a big deal. Let me go talk to him." And he goes up there and talks to him.
I'm gonna handle this.
And there's nothing creepier than a person who's not talking to you. They're just sitting there silent. You know, the one time, and you wait a few more seconds. You're like, "Are you gonna say anything?" And then finally, he gets the baseball bat. Or was it the baseball bat? After?
Yeah. No, he kind of got the baseball bat after they didn't leave.
He's like, "Okay."
He's like, "You're not gonna leave, okay?" You know,
We don't call the police.
right.
And at that point, they scatter.
Fun fact: the police never show up.
They never show up. What happened?
He didn't.
You know why? The doppelgangers.
Right.
This wasn't just an isolated incident.
Right.
Spoiler alert.
Yeah.
But the family disperses.
Mm-hmm.
And you hear this.
Right.
Oh, man.
Yeah.
And they kind of like, they're fast.
Right.
They're kind of like,
creepily moving.
the boy's like on the ground. You know what I mean? Like, I don't know. I was creeped out.
He's
by it.
crawling across the ground. Yeah.
All right. Again, let's
Later
see.
that night.
Later that night, after the family settles down, Adelaide tells Gabe all about her childhood trauma and worries that recent events mean that her doppelganger is coming to get her. Gabe tells her not to worry, and almost instantly the power goes off. As Gabe is about to run the backup generator, Jason alerts the family. There's a family in our driveway. Adelaide calls 911 while Gabe attempts to scare the family off. Eventually, the family begins entering the Wilsons' house. One of the figures hits Gabe with a baseball bat while everyone else corners them in the living room. So Gabe is out of commission.
He went down really quick with like one swing of the baseball bat. I feel like if your adrenaline's pumping and you have an attacker in the house, if you get hit once,
Yeah.
you're probably going to shake it off and do what you can.
No, Gabe is limping the entirety of the movie from now on.
It's just one baseball bat, bro. Like, you just shake it off, man.
So instantly, the toughest, biggest,
The protector of the family.
the protector of the family's out of commission. They're having to drag him. He's useless.
Right.
Absolutely useless
He
at this
is
point.
the big guy in the ritual where you have to carry him around the rest of the movie.
Hilarious. I love it. I love it. Like, kind of like, I mean, again, I'm that dad.
Right.
You know, I gotta go out there with a baseball. I gotta go, what do y'all do? You know, but then again, I could be out of commission with one little hit.
Right. One smack.
That's hilarious. Inside the living room, the Wilsons get a better look at the family, and it's all doppelgangers of themselves. All of them are wearing jumpsuits and wielding a pair of scissors, red jumpsuits. Adelaide's doppelganger tells them a story of a princess and her shadow and their relationship before forcing Adelaide to handcuff herself to the table. So this is like this is where she just kind of dumps the exposition. She tells the story, of what all happened.
The flashback, it goes back to the fun house.
Her voice. So again, in the ending, you know that Adelaide was taken by her doppelganger. So this is the real Adelaide that you see in the beginning.
Mm-hmm.
And so her voice box was crushed.
It's broken
in the Taken, and then again she only remembers the 7, however old she was, 7 or 8 years old, that from then on. So she kind of talks like, I can't. Like, do you have a better impression than I do?
I don't.
No. I don't know.
Right.
It's
she speaks very childlike, or like she's kind of not very educated, and then she has the crushed voice box,
and she speaks to the other doppelgangers with clicks and little claps and stuff like
and
that,
things like that. Yeah, whistling.
Yeah, a little bit of stuff like that. But so at this point, you're sitting here, and she kind of says, like, we are the tethered, and she says that we were a government program that failed. But we're tied to each other's souls in some kind of way. Which again, there's a lot of questions. We're tied to each other's souls, but it was a failed experiment because they wanted us to control what was going on up here. It was failed. It didn't work. So they abandoned it and just left us down there. We eat rabbits.
Let's not kill them all. Let's just leave them down there.
Let's leave them down there.
Yeah, and nothing's going to happen.
Whatever happened to you, whatever was going on in her life and Adelaide's life was happening to the tethered Adelaide down there. Mm-hmm. So, but it was horrific what was happening. She was like, when you had your C-section there in the hospital, I had to cut mine out of me. Myself, She was saying all this stuff. It was just very like, ugh, what an existence. This sounds awful.
It's not great.
No. And it was crazy. It was she was hard to listen to. Her voice, it was just like, ugh, but at the same time it was
creepy.
Yeah. And but again, in a horror movie, I expected, and that's because we've been watching so many messed up horror movies, I expected half the family to be gone at this point.
Right.
Just dead, murdered, like right off.
And they would have been if they didn't have to stop and, explain the story.
Yeah, they had to explain the story. And then they said, so we're not just going to kill you, we're going to chase you around, and we're going to make it hard and stuff like that.
It's almost like a sport for them.
Yeah. Not my favorite.
Okay.
Not my favorite. But that's fine. Again, where did we get all these red jumpsuits?
Right.
Where did we all get the scissors from?
The government. Government issued scissors and jumpsuits.
Okay. In the beginning, or are we making these as we go, as we're growing, or
make them as we go?
Okay. Inside the living room, the Wilsons get a better look at the family. No, I messed up some. No, that's right. That's right. Yeah. She then makes Zora run away from the house with her doppelganger in hot pursuit. She makes Jason join into this play, and Gabe's drag him off to a boat.
Yeah, and my favorite scene is where she says, "Little girl, run."
Oh yeah,
and then she runs off. And the creepy Zora Wilson, the doppelganger for the daughter, that she was my favorite. That was my favorite.
She has like
scene.
No eyebrows.
Yeah, and she's just sitting there smiling creepily. She's got a better smile than the people from the movie smile.
Yes.
But little girl, run. I was like, I loved it. It was my favorite scene.
Zora, we find out, is pretty badass though.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like she has a kill that's like.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's really cool.
Yeah. Coming up.
Although their names are never explicitly used, the doppelgangers are referred to as their names in the closing credits. Adelaide's is Red, Gabe's is Abraham, Jason's is Pluto, and Zora's is Umbre.
Okay.
From this point on, we encounter the family dealing with their doubles in several ways. After running far away, Zora thinks that she's outrun her doppelganger, Umbre, but we know this is a horror film. You've never outran.
You can't outrun them.
You can't outrun
even if they're walking.
The pursuer.
Nope. They could be walking.
He walks. Michael Myers walks. He catches you every single time.
It's easy for him.
Yeah. Only for her to appear on the top of a car. A neighbor spots the commotion. He confronts them, but Hombre murders him with scissors while Zora escapes. So right here, you find out that they are capable of killing.
Yep. Oh yeah, and easily.
Yeah, but he needed to die. He came out. He was like, "What are you doing on my car?" He was like, and you're just like, "Stop, dude."
I hate one scene actors and one scene thing. Like I hate when a good scary movie's going and then like the police get involved at the very end and like mess up the whole scene. That's one of my pet peeves. But this wasn't that interfering for me.
I get it.
Yeah,
I get it. But it just kind of shows like, hey, they can kill you. You know what I mean?
They're gonna kill you.
Like they're not just gonna play around with you. They could kill you.
Right. And so far, we only have the Wilson family as doppelgangers.
Yes,
keep that in mind.
That is true. So that's all we know.
That's all we know so far.
And then, but this commotion, her murdering that neighbor, helps Zora get away. So that's good. Abraham drags an unconscious Gabe all the way to the family's boat and then places him inside of a bag. Gabe eventually wakes up and successfully throws Abraham overboard. Later on, however, the boat engine fails. Of course it does. And Gabe falls into the water. He ultimately makes his way back to the boat, only for Abraham to emerge and then grab him. After a fight, Gabe manages to turn on the boat's engine in time, completely eviscerating Abraham. So the first death of a doppelganger.
Yeah. Because he throws him off the boat, and there's a big scene there too. That scene kind of dragged for me, probably for you too, where he's floating in the water and he's figuring out how the boat works and all that kind of stuff.
Yeah.
It lifts to the left and all that. Yeah.
Yeah, that was a little a little draggy, but so I mean, we're getting to the meat and the potatoes of the movie, but it does drag a little bit of the chase. My favorite part was that first. You meet the doppelgangers in the house. You get that dump of information.
Yeah.
And then the chase. It's okay. Back at the house, Jason leads Pluto inside a closet, and he notices that he mirrors his actions almost simultaneously. He takes off his mask and finds that the lower half of Pluto's face is burned off. Jason impresses him with a magic trick, but when Pluto demands that he do the trick again, he successfully traps him in the closet and escapes.
Yeah, and this is where Adelaide, right? She kind of tells her son, like, "Hey, show him one of your tricks.
Show him one of your tricks."
Yeah. Kind of give him a hint to you need to outsmart this kid.
Yeah, you should be able to do that. And he, that was okay. He's a kid. He did the best. I mean, he's
sure
he wasn't. I mean, you know what I mean. He acted better than I would at that age.
Right.
Meanwhile, Red holds Adelaide hostage in the living room and begins trying to slam her face against the glass table. But the commotion caused by Jason's escape leads her away. In a panic, Adelaide manages to get the fireplace poker, destroys the leg of a table, and get Jason. They are both reunited with Zora and Gabe, and the Wilsons manage to escape on the boat with Red and Pluto watching them.
And I'm really glad that she finally was able to drag that heavy coffee table and get that fireplace poker. I was watching it and I looked over at Jessica and I was like, why is the coffee table so heavy? Like, she can't even move it. Is it nailed to the floor?
It is nailed to the floor. Man, and like in horror movies, is like fireplace poker is just like
that's your go-to, man.
Man.
Yeah, right. And so she's handcuffed to the coffee table at first.
Yeah.
Then when she gets the fireplace poker, she's somehow handcuffed to herself. That's a movie goof, by the way.
Oh,
yeah.
I'm gonna have to watch Everything Wrong with Us on YouTube.
Just look at the goofs on IMDb; they got you.
Okay. At the Tylers, Kitty thinks that she sees something outside. Josh pretends that he does see it. He's hilarious. He didn't even want to get up.
Right.
He didn't even want to get up. She's like, come and look at it. And he's just like, oh yeah, look. And she's like, no, you did.
Right.
Only to reveal that he's just messing with her. The twins then come out of their rooms and talk. And the second that they think that everything is all right, a set of doppelgangers wearing red jumpsuits similar to the Wilsons, they emerge and they kill the whole family.
And that's cool because at this point in time, you think the only doppelgangers are the Wilson family.
Yeah, and now you're seeing them everywhere.
Right. And that was a big, like, holy crap.
Yeah, when they jumped out and killed those little girls, you're like,
twins. So they not only they kill, but they kill kids too.
Yeah,
which you can't do in movies a lot.
No, These are teenagers. You've always been able to kill teenagers.
Oh, okay.
You just can't kill little kids.
Right. Okay.
Little kids, you just can't do that.
Little kids are off limits.
They're off limits. Some do it. Some do it. But you're better sticking with teenagers.
That was a good surprise for me.
I love that. I thought it was a cool scene.
Mm-hmm.
Let's see. And then
when the Wilsons arrive looking for help.
Oh, yeah. When the Wilsons arrive looking for help, sorry. So when the Wilsons arrive looking for help, Kitty's double drags Adelaide into the house while Gabe attempts to distract Josh's double. After a fight, the Wilsons manage to kill all of the Tyler's doppelgangers and reunite inside the house.
Yeah, and you got to look at Zora's kind of stalking skills too, because while her doppelganger is really athletic and run really fast, the main character Zora, she's athletic enough too, and she can sneak up on these twins and kill them. And all
I think it talks about her running track, right?
Oh yeah, I think so.
So it alludes to that a little bit.
Yeah.
So they don't have a lot of time to kind of like really just go into depth with these characters before this happens. But you do learn that obviously he likes his little magic trick, and then she runs track and stuff like that. You learn little things.
He likes fire, and he's like playing with a lighter.
Yeah. And you can tell his doppelganger is too. Obviously, he got his whole face burned off.
Right.
The Wilsons turn on the TV and find out from frantic news reports that the red-clad doubles have been inexplicably appearing and killing people all over the world, and they have joined to hold hands, similar to the Hands Across America commercial that we saw earlier. Mm-hmm. Gabe wants to take refuge in the house, but Adelaide says that they have to keep moving and escape. The family decides to take the Tyler's car, but when Adelaide looks for the key, a still living Kitty's doppelganger attacks her. She manages to kill her, but when the family gets to the car, Umbre appears. After a chase sequence, they manage to kill Umbre when they speed up and abruptly stop the vehicle, causing her to fly into a tree.
Yeah, and Zora's driving that car, right? At first,
yes.
She's driving to try to kill her own doppelganger.
That is so cool.
It was a cool scene.
Something that we missed when Kitty and Tyler, the friends, when they were getting murdered, there was that funny NWA thing.
Yeah, you're right.
They have like a fake version of Siri
right.
Yeah, and she's like, "Hey Siri," or
call
whatever.
The police.
Yeah, call the police, and it was like "F the police" by NWA. So and that was playing while they were getting murdered, and it was hilarious. It was very funny. I love that part of it.
And has it already gone to the part two where they're like, "Hey, are we supposed to set up traps like Home Alone and Macaulay Culkin?"
Oh man!
And one of the kids goes, "Who's Macaulay Culkin?" And they go like, "What's Home Alone?" Like
that was funny. I like that.
Good comedy here.
It's now morning, and the Wilsons get to the boardwalk. At the boardwalk, they see that their original car burning, with Pluto standing in front. Adelaide decides to get out and walk to him, and soon realize that it's just a trap. Jason acts fast and makes Pluto walk backwards into the burning car, and just as the family thinks it's over, Red grabs Jason.
And yeah, that was cool. The little kid finally gets his doppelganger based on mimicry. He knows that he can kind of see that he's copying what he does.
Yeah. There's been video games that you had to do that.
Right.
Like Zelda. Didn't Zelda you have to do that?
You have to like shoot an arrow and then move up so that the guy hits
the guy
the
with
arrow.
was it the little aliens with eyeballs? It's like a green thing with an eyeball, so they'll go this way when you go this way.
Right. Yeah.
So it just kind of reminded me of that. But that was really cool. But then, he gets grabbed.
Yep.
Adelaide runs after him. But while Zora and Gabe see that the beach is now full of red-clad doppelgangers joining hands, Adelaide makes her way back to the fun house and goes all the way down into the underground tunnel with rabbits roaming free. She finds Red inside one of the many rooms, and Red explains her plan. Red says that all this time, I messed that up. Sorry. She finds Red inside one of the mini rooms, and Red explains her plan. Red says that all this time, the underground facility, presumably a part of the dimension of hell, has been filled with everyone's doppelgangers, and now it is their time to be on the surface. She says that she has always been a part of Adelaide, and when she was a ballet dancer as a kid, it led her out of the tunnels and into the fun house where they met. It took her a long time, but a plan was made with everyone in the tunnel, which was now being executed.
Right. And then that kind of shows also where the, it shows the doppelgangers kind of mimicking their Earth self, right? Kind of plays into that a little bit.
Exactly. And after a fight, Adelaide manages to overpower Red and kills her by impaling her to the with the fireplace poker and gets Jason back. You said that you thought that was a little too quick.
Oh, no, I thought that Red could have easily killed Adelaide there because she was like dancing and stabbing Adelaide. And then I'm thinking the whole time, like, just finish her off, man. Like, if it's what you want, if you want to kill Adelaide, just do it.
Yeah, I get that. The fight again, the end scene to me was a little. It let me down a little bit there at the end, and again,
with the kid looking over at her and putting a mask on, or
no, I'm not talking about the very
the final boss
there.
fight.
Yeah, I'm not there.
Okay.
The final boss fight when they were
dancing and stabbing.
It seemed anticlimactic to me.
Yeah.
The family reunites and drives away. All is good and everyone looks relieved until a quick flashback shows that when Red met Adelaide in the funhouse all those years ago, that she knocked her out, took her Thriller t-shirt, and went off into the real world. The Adelaide that we've been watching for the whole movie is actually a doppelganger, and Red was simply the real Adelaide getting her revenge. This also explains why Red is the only one of the doubles who has concrete speech, while the other doppelgangers in the film have like animalistic
Moans,
grunts and stuff like that. Jason appears to realize the truth at the end. He puts his mask on uneasily. The film ends with a zoom out showing all the Red doppelgangers around the United States joining hands, similar to Hands Across America with news and police and helicopters surveying them from above.
Yeah, and I thought that when the kid looked at her, I thought that was a good kind of ending where you can tell, because you kind of realize at the same time he does, like, holy crap, this lady, while she's my mom, she was one of the doppelgangers in the beginning. Yeah.
So you kind of realize that. And again, everything's not just cut and dry. Everything's just not like wrong and right.
He puts on a mask almost like Adelaide has been wearing a mask this whole time.
Absolutely. Yeah. But again, it's his mom.
Yeah.
She really had him, you know, and she's the one that he grew up with. He doesn't know.
Yeah.
He doesn't know Red, even though she probably should have been in that. I don't know.
Yeah.
I don't know. So, and that's the beauty about this movie is you walk away and it causes a conversation.
A lot of theories.
Yeah. So you have theories about it. That's the best movies do that. Mm-hmm. You're sitting there, you're talking about them. You're like, what about this? And what about this? I watched Psycho with Lauren and Caleb and Bennett last night. And it's just a classic Alfred Hitchcock movie. Mm-hmm. And when we were done with it, we spent 20, 30 minutes talking about the movie and just like, so what happened? Who was he so what was he when he was this? And was he really, so he was his mother and he dug up her body? Who was in the coffin? We asked all those questions. Right. This movie is very similar to that.
Yeah. Yeah. I really enjoyed it. I thought the music was great. Like I said, the cinematography, fantastic. Actors and actresses were all great. He did a really good job of directing this movie, and 10 out of 13 for me.
Yeah. And again, I gave it a 9. I think it's a great movie. I think everybody should see it. It got a little sleepy in the middle for me. I think it's a great movie, though. I love all the hidden imagery. You could literally listen to hours and hours on commentary about what he put into this. It was so well thought out. And again, he won an Oscar for his screenplay for Get Out. So he's a very talented writer.
And you can watch it more than once. You can watch it 2 or 3 times and kind of find something new every time.
Yeah, and if that's your bag and you want that and you like seeing all the what everything means and what is this number? Is that a number 11? 11, 11, 11? Like, that's not exactly my bag. I want to watch it and just enjoy it and be done with it. You know what I mean? But I think it's really cool. And people love that stuff. And I think he did a great job with it. All right, that's it for Blood and Donuts. Look out for our next show. We're going to be putting them out on YouTube. If you're watching from YouTube, go to our podcast, Apple Podcasts and Spotify. We have 6 episodes that you can listen to. Go ahead and listen to all of them. Give us some feedback. Tell us what we're doing good. Tell us what we're doing wrong, and help us grow this channel. Thank you so much. And until next time, I'm Tony.
And I'm Chris.
And this is Blood and Donuts.
That does it for this episode of Blood and Donuts. Thanks so much for listening.
Please like and subscribe. Check out our other episodes on Apple Podcasts and Spotify. Stop by our YouTube channel, Blood and Donuts Podcast.
Until next time, this has been Chris and Tony's Blood and Donuts.